Charlemagne, we live. We are live. Shout out to everybody who is checking in. Whether you're watching this on the replay when I upload it or you're watching the IG replay. If you're watching this live right now, shout out to you. Everybody who is on the stream, identify yourself. Identify yourself. You come into the stream right now. This is Dre All Day's voice you are listening to. This is Dre All Day's face you're looking at. We are here today. As y'all come in, tell me your name and locations. Name and location as you come into the stream. What we're going to talk about today, I'm going to decide in a minute. what we're going to talk about. Althea checking in from Maryland. What's going on, Althea? As y'all come in, tell me your names and locations. I don't know if I like the location or how I got my camera set up here. You know, you got to find out. You got to find your angles, right? Ain't that what they tell y'all when you're taking selfies? You got to find the angles. Let's see if I can find a better angle here. As y'all come in, tell me your name and location. We're going to get to it either way. Brandon from Pensacola. Shout out to Roy Jones Jr. Shout out to Brandon from Pensacola. From VA. Live strong 1995. No, you're not late. Today is February 3rd. How can you be late? It's the day. It ain't the morning. It's the day. Ricardo from Vegas. George from California. Marcus from Dallas, Texas. Joe from Montreal. I appreciate that. Mav to MVP, and no, you did not miss it. As you are coming in, everybody tell me your name and location. Name and location. We're going to get into the proceedings. Very shortly. This is Dre All Day, y'all, whose voice you are listening to, whose face you are looking at right now. I'm about to decide on the topic right now. Yeah, Live Strong 95, you are not late. It is February 3rd is the day. That's today. So you are not late at all. Thank you. So as y'all coming in, names and locations. Troy checking in from St. Louis. Shout out to St. Louis. Shout out to Troy. What up, everybody who is coming in? We about to get into it right now. Joe Garrett Parker, what up? My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. I am a former 9-year professional athlete. I now teach business professionals, entrepreneurs, and athletes how to take the pro athlete mindset and apply it to your business, to your sport, to your life. Whether that means you want to step up your mental game, you want to build your business, you want to build a brand off your personal experience, or you're trying to transition from one area to another. Those are the things that I've done. Those are the things that I teach. For those who don't know me, as I already told you, what I did is my background. I'm now author of 25 books. I've done 4 TED Talks and a whole bunch of other things that I'm not going to describe here because we will run out of time. But what we're going to talk about here today is, let me decide what we're going to talk about. Or this is what we're going to talk about. Who is it in your life that you know is always going to keep it real with you? Who are the people around you who are giving it to you real when you come to them with a challenge, when you come to them with a problem, when you are supposed to be working on something but you ain't really working on it, when you say that you're going to do something and that person's holding you accountable, they're holding your feet to the fire, they're letting you know when you're bullshitting, they're calling you on your bullshit, telling you about your bullshit, and they're not accepting your bullshit. Who in your life fits that description, if anybody? Do you have anyone in your life who's fitting that description? If you are any of you who's in a relationship, any kind of relationship, whether if it's a business partnership, listen, your business partner better be calling you on your bullshit. They better be telling you when you're bullshit. And if they not, that means either they scared of you, which means you shouldn't be a business partner with them because y'all are not equals, or they don't have communication skills, which means you shouldn't have got in business with them because they're not telling you everything, or they're not noticing it, which means you shouldn't be in business with them because they're not noticing things that they should be noticing. If they're not calling you on your bullshit, then maybe they're doing the same bullshit that you're doing or something worse, which is why they're not saying nothing, which means you're probably in a bad partnership. You're in a business partnership with somebody who don't call you on your bullshit, you shouldn't be in business with them. If you're in a relationship, an intimate relationship with a man or woman or something in between who isn't calling you on your bullshit, well, then you might be able to, in some ways, walk all over that person and do what you want to do. The problem with that is, though you may feel powerful in the moment, you're actually leading yourself down a path of destruction because nobody's going to stop you from doing some dumb shit. If it's not going to be your girl or your guy, your husband, your wife, if they're not going to stop you, who else is going to stop you? Probably nobody. If your best friends, the people you roll with and hang with every day, and you in group text with them all the time, if they're not calling you on your bullshit and they don't say something to you when you're doing something dumb, then you're going to keep doing dumb shit because none of us is that smart to not do something dumb at times. So anybody here ever not did anything dumb? Okay, everybody's done something dumb. So if your friends, the people around you, ain't stopping you from doing something dumb, then they're not really your friends, as maybe your parents told you back in the day. They should be calling you on your shit, at least some of them, at least one of them. Maybe everybody in a group's not like that, but it got to be somebody in that circle who's willing to call everybody else out on whatever's going on. It ain't supposed to be going on, or something that's not happening that's supposed to be happening. If you play on a sports team and there's nobody on that team that's going to hold people accountable in a respectable way, a way that they have earned the right to hold people accountable, if nobody's calling, if there's anybody on that team that can't be called out by anybody else on the team, then that team's not going to be at its best. Everybody got to be able to be held accountable. I think it was a game earlier this season in the NBA when LeBron James said at like halftime of the game, a couple of his teammates, Anthony Davis and like Boogie Cousins, even though he's injured, they were holding LeBron accountable and letting him know, like, yo, you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, or he wasn't playing hard on defense. It was something he wasn't doing. And after the game, he let the media know, like, yo, my teammates held me accountable. They called me out. And he listened to what they had to say, and then in the second half of the game, he did what he was supposed to do. So there's a couple of things that you got to notice about that. Number one is that there were people on that team who were comfortable enough to hold LeBron accountable. And while he's known as one of the greatest players, maybe the best player, definitely the best player on that team, there were people on the team who still felt like they needed to hold him accountable, number one. And number two, LeBron was self-aware enough that even though he's the guy, highest paid player and the man in the league, period, he can still allow himself to be held accountable. So that's the other side of it. Do you allow yourself to be held accountable when somebody else holds you accountable? Somebody else calls you out on something that you didn't do that you were supposed to do. Do you accept the fact that they're holding you accountable, or do you bristle at the fact that anybody's saying anything to you because you think you're too good to be told anything? Now, a disclaimer to that is just because you notice something in another person and you think they need to be held accountable, that doesn't mean that you're qualified to do it. Like, not anybody on the Lakers maybe could hold LeBron James accountable, but Anthony Davis could hold him accountable. Not everybody could say something to the CEO of a company, but the COO or the president, one of them could say something to him, but the dude working in the mailroom who just started 2 weeks ago, maybe he can't say something. So you got to make sure, if you're going to be the type of person who holds other people accountable, number one, you got to make sure that you're holding yourself accountable. You can't be throwing stones when you're living in a glass house. And number two, make sure that you've earned the right to hold other people accountable. And earning the right to hold somebody else accountable is not just about, I noticed something, so I'm going to say it. All right, anybody could do that. All right, you want to see people doing that? Go browse through Facebook. You can see a whole bunch of people talking shit about something that they saw. But it doesn't mean the person you're talking to is going to listen. You see, holding someone accountable not only means you notice something that needs to be said, but also that the person you say it to is actually listening to what you say and actually going to use it as constructive feedback. If they're not using it as constructive feedback, then you're just wasting your energy and probably destroying what little of a relationship there may be between you and that individual. The other thing about holding someone accountable, aside from noticing something, is that person who you're talking to, first of all, they got to believe that you are credible in saying what you're saying, that you know what you're talking about, basically. And number two, they must believe that you're telling them what you're telling them because you're trying to help the situation, not just because you like to hear the sound of your own voice, not just because you want to make yourself feel important or you want to make yourself feel bigger or better than somebody by pointing out a mistake that they made or a mistake that you think they made. If somebody feels that that's the only reason you're saying something to them, they're not going to listen to you. It's going to go in one ear and out the other. They're going to tune you out, and they're going to go on doing what they were doing and probably make sure that you can't talk to them again. So if it's on social media, they might block you. If it's a text or a phone call, they might stop answering. Or they could probably block you on there too. If it's in person, they'll probably just ignore you and not deal with you anymore. Or maybe kick you out the group or off the team or whatever the situation. So don't think that because you understand accountability, it means you are qualified to hold anybody accountable just because. The question that I'm asking you here in this video, the main question I started with is, who holds you accountable? Who in your life has the authority to hold you accountable? If you're a type of person maybe there isn't anybody who can just say something to you and just tell you something and you just gonna listen just because they said it. Who in your life have you ever gone to and said, yo, I want you to help me hold me accountable for these things that I'm gonna do. I want you to help me hold me accountable because I'm gonna do this, this, and this. I want you to help me. I want you to check me on this. Next week, I want you to ask me, like, yo, what are you doing with that? Yo, did you read that book you said you was going to read? Did you get that information about that business you said you were going to start? Yo, did you take those actions that you said you were going to take? Or who in your life is holding you accountable to doing the stuff that you say you're going to do? Because in our lives, I mean, you all know, we all do a whole lot of talking about all the things that we're going to do, and we don't always do it. I mean, let's keep it real. We don't always do everything that we say we're going to do. So who holds you accountable when you don't follow through on your own word, when you don't follow through on the things that you said you were going to do? And who has ever come to you asking you to be the person to hold them accountable? You need both. You need both sides of this. People to hold you accountable, and you having the trust and the respect of someone or some people in life to where they feel comfortable with you being the one holding them accountable. Accountability is basically how we check ourselves. That's what accountability means. Checking yourself, because you got to have self-accountability, because you should be able to look in the mirror and say, yo, I'm bullshitting. I was supposed to work out today. I ain't work out. I said I was going to get up at 6 o'clock. It's 7:30. I'm just now getting out of bed. You got to be able to hold yourself accountable and call yourself on your bullshit, but also you need other people around, because you can't always see your own bullshit. All right, you can't see yourself in the mirror, as one of my mentors used to say. So, all that being said, when somebody got a question, you can go ahead and post it in the comments. I am going to respond to some comments and questions. If there are any comments and questions, go ahead and post it in the comments. I'm gonna get to it right now, and while I wait for y'all to populate your comments, I'm gonna scroll through and get to those real quick. You do not have this book yet. This is the Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. You see it right there. I didn't make that up. The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. You see it right there, and you see the author, right? You know who that is? That's me. That's Dre Baldwin. The Mirror of Motivation. I'm giving you this book free, okay? Now, you need to get this book before we run out of copies, like before they... Where I live right now is a whole bunch of high-rise buildings, so you know how they build these? They tear down all the trees, and before all the trees are gone, they need trees to make these books. So before they make high-rises out of everywhere in the world and ain't no trees left to print up these books, you better order your copy, because when we run out, we run out. We call the publisher, not the publisher, I'm the publisher, but the printer, and we say, in DJ Khaled's voice, another one. But eventually there ain't gonna be no more trees, and they can't print anymore. So if you don't have this book yet, go to mirrorofmotivation.com. I'm about to post it in the comments. Mirrorofmotivation.com is the link in my bio. Go to mirrorofmotivation.com. I will send you this book for free. All you gotta do is tell me where to ship it. We do ship this book worldwide. So anywhere you live in the world, you take care of the shipping. We are getting you that book, Mirror Motivation, the Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. So if you like this live stream, then your next step is to get the book. If you like the book, then your next step is I'm gonna offer you something else, but you gotta get the book first to find out what the next thing is. That's how you can ascend up the ladder of what we got going on here. So if y'all didn't know, now you know. So now I'm just scrolling through. Let's see what we got going on in the comments. If there is anything to Miles from Virginia, what's going on? Beyond Ba says, can I one-on-one Soul Minati in basketball game for a video? No, I ain't one-on-one in nobody. I'm out of the game. I ain't playing nobody one-on-one in basketball. Mav to MVP. Okay, that's what's up. You got somebody besides yourself? That's what's up. Need at least one person. Neo Diviso, what's good, my dude? BN says, can I collab with RB the Breakthrough? Collab about what? Who was RB the Breakthrough doing that we could collab on? I mean, you see what I be doing every day, don't you? Is he doing something like this? If so, then yeah, we can make it happen. But if it ain't, I hope you ain't talking about playing somebody one-on-one. I ain't playing nobody one-on-one. One-on-one, the one-on-one days is over. Fritz Grits, is it my birthday today? Yes, it is. If you see my feed, you know that. Let's see. Miles says, what's the key to making your brand authentic and different? Well, that's the same thing. If you're being authentic, you're going to be different by definition, because we all different people. Everybody's not the same. So it's impossible for you don't have to try to be different. I don't have to try to be different from everybody. I just be who I am, and nobody's going to be exactly like me. Even if they write down everything I say and repeat it, it ain't going to be like me. So that's the key, is be authentic. You ain't got to worry about being different. K Van says, can you make it in basketball being older and not having much game experience? Is game experience predetermined everything? Well, K Van, I'm sure you have consumed enough of my content that you know my answer to that question. Or you go look it up on YouTube. I've answered that question way too many times. 90210, Brian says, how do you know if a teammate is trying to tear you down or actively giving you constructive criticism? Well, how do you feel about it when you're hearing it? Do you feel like the teammate is giving you constructive criticism? Do you feel like that person, any person, doesn't have to be a teammate. It could be your husband or wife. It could be your friend. It could be somebody that works with you. Do you feel like that person has your best interests at heart, or do you feel like they're trying to make you feel bad, or do you feel like they're trying to put on a show or trying to make you look bad in front of the boss? It depends on how you feel about it. And when it comes to you being the recipient, how you feel will determine whether how you take it. And if you happen to be the person who's dishing it out, like let's say I'm in a leadership position and I try to hold someone accountable, but they feel like I'm trying to tear them down, that means they're not hearing it the way that I'm trying to communicate it, which means I failed in communication. If the person that I can't even remember who said it, but this weekend or this last week, this event I was at, the person said, look, if you say something to somebody and they hear something different from what you thought you said, then that means you failed in communication. So the skill of communication is you got to make sure that what they hear is the same thing as what you said. Because sometimes people hear something different from what you actually said. Have any of you ever experienced that? I'm sure. You thought you said one thing, but they took it a different way. You thought you were trying to be constructive, but they thought you were hating. So it depends on, you got to make sure they get what you're actually trying to say. And listen, sometimes there's some people out there who just don't want to be given constructive criticism. And those people you shouldn't waste your time on. So you also got to choose wisely who you're holding accountable. Because some people just don't want it. You got to give it to the people who want it. As I have always said, you got to sell to the buyers. All right? Don't sell to people who ain't trying to buy nothing. Brandon Joseph says, I always try to get on bad teams when I play 5-on-5. Oh, I always seem to get on bad teams. No team chemistry. Should I just start ball hogging to guarantee a win? I mean, yeah, if you Kobe, if you LeBron, if you that good, that if you ball hog, that guarantees a win. If you that good, then go ahead and do it. If you could prove that works, you might as well go do that. A Torrene said, I just received my copy over the past weekend. That's what's up. The Mirror Motivation. So read that, leave a review. If you make a video review of the book and send it to me, I'll send you a gift. A Torrene. I know I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, but I appreciate it. Glad you got the book. Bean Bass, what do I eat for breakfast, man? Go on my website and read the FAQ page, dreallday.com/FAQ. I didn't answer all those questions. ARB says, I see what you meant. Going to something like funnel hacking is a great qualitative change to becoming great. Well, how you see what I mean if you weren't there? You might understand it, but you had to experience it to really understand what I'm saying. But I appreciate that. Gotham 2002, thank you. GSO says, how many sources of income do you have? I can't answer that. I don't know who's listening. I got at least one. Let's just put it that way. ARB says, how do I take what I learn from people and teach it to others without sounding like a poor man's copy of the person that I'm learning from? That's a good question. What you need to do is combine your information with experience. So, yeah, I read a ton of books. I listen to podcasts. I go to conferences and take notes on everything people say. But then I combine what I learned with my personal experience. Because if all I'm going to do, I was at a conference, Tony Robbins was speaking. So I could just write down everything Tony said and come say it back to you. But it really has no value. You might as well get it from Tony. It'll sound a lot better. What I do is take what I learned from other people. Then I combine it with what I know from what I've done. My own activity now is also known as experience. And then I give you a new message. It becomes mine because I combine it with my own experience and my own perspectives. So if you don't have any life experience, then you can read all the books in the world. Nobody wants to hear from you because what have you done? The thing that makes you want to listen to me when I'm talking is because I have experience in the stuff that I'm talking about, not just because I have the information. Because listen, anybody can get information. You can go read all my books and have a lot of information and go say it, but who wants to listen to you if they don't know you've done anything? Every video, what do I tell you? I played ball, I started a business, I wrote these books, I go to these events, I've done these speaking gigs, I talk about the things that I do. So since you know all the things that I did, when I start talking, you're willing to listen because you know I actually did it. I'm not just talking about some shit that I read in a book. So what you need to do is go out in the world and live. So yeah, watch the videos, look at people's IGs, read the books, but you got to go out and actually have your feet in the ground. You 10 toes on the ground and 10 toes deep in what you're doing, playing ball, starting a business, selling stuff, succeeding, failing, all of that. You got to be doing it to have some credibility to your voice. We don't want to listen to somebody who read a book but didn't do nothing. We want to listen to somebody who did something, succeeded, failed, went through all the shit, then they read a book, and then they start talking about it. We want to hear from them because we know they've been where we haven't been. People only listen to you when they either, and I think Russell Brunson talked about this, and he wasn't the first one, but people listen to you when they want to be like you, they want to do what you've done, or they want to have what you have. All right, those are the things that make people listen to you. Don't mean they want to be exactly like live your life, but there's something about you that they want, or something you've done they want to do, or something that you got that they want to get. And people only can look at you that way when you've been somewhere that they haven't been. That's the reason why we listen, so we can get the story, so I can learn about, oh, you did that and that and that, or I want to do something like that. How'd you do it? Now I'm willing to listen to you. but you got to go get the experience, and then you got to share the experience. Then people want to know how you did it. Then people want to know the knowledge after that. Beyond Bass said, did you finish or go to college? Beyond, go to DreAllDay.com. Read up on my bio so you can get a solid background of me. Most of the people on these streams have a pretty good idea of a good amount of me. Maybe not everything, but if you go to DreAllDay.com, you can read more about me so you got a background. You'll know a lot more. 25 Basketball says, what is your end goal in life if you have one? I do have one, but I don't really tell people my goals. I talked about that in my book, Work on Your Game, is that unless somebody is directly involved in helping you reach a goal, there's no point in wasting energy telling people about it. To me, it's like letting the helium out of the balloon. But different people have different views on that. That's just my personal view. Let's see, what else do we got? All right, that's that. Everybody have a great day. Thank you for the questions, comments. I will upload any of these streams I do. I usually upload them to YouTube, so it'll come out a few days later. So that's that. Everybody have a great, what is today? Monday. Work on your game. Dre all day.